Virginia's best and most flames-friendly coffee comes from Ironclad Coffee Roasters. Ironclad Roasting serves up their beautiful beans at 2 cafes in Richmond, where you can enjoy their craft roasted specialty beans from anywhere in the country by visiting www.ironcladcoffee.com. Place your order there and it will be directly shipped to your doorstep. Whenever you find yourself in the capital of the Commonwealth, pay them a visit at one of their 2 cafes in the Richmond area. Ironclad's owners, the O'Rourke family, are proud Flames Club members and season ticket holders. And now they're pleased to sponsor the podcast from the CRA. Hop over to www.ironcladcoffee.com now to get your Virginia's best specialty coffee headed your way.
What's going on, Flames Nation, and welcome to a Tuesday night edition of the Sea of Red Football Podcast. I'm joined with Mr. CT, Cash and Jacobs with CT. Normally we got him on at the end of the show, but I think we are all in agreement that the last 4 days have been nothing but normal in the world of college football. And I'm also joined by the man, the myth, the legend, all things a Sea of Red, founder and owner, John Manson. John, how we living this Tuesday evening?
It is Tuesday evening. It feels like I don't know what day it is. It's been quite a whirlwind the last few days, but I think we should certainly start off by sending our thoughts and condolences to really the entire Southeast, but specifically Boone, North Carolina, other parts of Western North Carolina, East Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina. I mean, Hurricane Helene was a disaster, one of the worst we've ever seen. Certainly the worst as far as I can recall in the mountains. So hate to see that. Obvious, devastation through that part of the country, loss of life. People have lost everything. That's terrible. Hate to see that. So at the forefront of the show tonight, we wanted to make sure we mention that. And, we're going to continue this show like we would normally. Talk about how the game being canceled affects Liberty and the fallout from that, and then move forward to looking forward to the FIU game next week. But we got a special segment here in a few minutes with a former Liberty football player who's going to be giving assistance to Boone and the surrounding areas. He lives in North Carolina, so stay tuned for that, to how you can help him specifically and also others. But terrible tragedy that struck over the weekend, and certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to them. I know Liberty is sending multiple teams out from LU-Sin to Boone to I think a place in Georgia, and also was the other one in Florida, I believe. I forget, but several different teams, and that's awesome to see. But yeah, definitely a tragedy, and thoughts go out to everyone affected by it.
100%. We have to remember that this is just a game. This is sports. This is not something that needs to be taken so seriously that we lose sight of what is actually going on in the world around us, in the country around us, in our region. And to quote Rico Bosco, some things are bigger than sports. And I think this is a great situation. And you know what? A lot of people, not me, a lot of people said some really stupid things. And it really kind of made the fan base look pretty terrible. And that's no good. I think we have to remember sometimes that, people love to throw if it's Christian, it ought to be better, whatever the line is. But a lot of people didn't show that on Friday and Saturday. And I'm kind of lucky that not lucky, but I was dealing with something, my place of employment, all day Friday, and really missed most of everything that went on. But I'm hopeful that moving forward, that the people of the area of App State and Boone and everywhere around there will get the help that they need, and know that people are supporting them, and we can hope that one day that football will be kind of an opportunity to return to normalcy for them over there. So that's my 2 cents. Really, again, at the end of the day, this football is a game, and this is just kind of an escape for us in our lives. But definitely, thinking and praying for the people of Boone, App State, and the whole Southeast.
Yeah, and I'll just add, like, I feel like for me, one of the things that I've always thought that's coolest about sports is just the power that they have to bring communities together,
Hmm.
who might not have many commonalities normally or things like that. And we see that all the time in so many different scenarios. Um, and sports really do an amazing job at unifying. I feel like some of the things that we saw, on Twitter and stuff like that were the opposite of what sports should be for. So even if it's about a canceled game or anything, it really brought about division as opposed to unity when unity was what was needed. So hopefully we can get back to that. Hopefully we can get back to what they're about. Hopefully we as a fan base can continue to join in the efforts to support all the people of Boone, Western North Carolina, the Southeast, and so on. And hopefully, at a certain point, that all of those communities are able to have sports back in their
Hmm.
regions as well and be able to unify their communities in that way at that time as well, because it's an amazing thing. Like we saw with Katrina, what the Saints did when they could come back for that community. And I'm sure it'll be the same thing for playing at home for East Tennessee State and Asheville, so on and so forth. But yes, let's just let sports continue to unify and let's be part of that.
Yeah, definitely, and that's one thing that I've always loved about sports. So, the show will go on. We'll continue as normal, but obviously, everything we talk about, as we get into how this affects Liberty and looking at FIU game next week, that all pales in comparison, obviously, to what so many people are dealing with right now. But like Richie said a minute ago, is sports is a way for many people to have an escape and just kind of check out from the struggles that we all face day to day. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to continue, but obviously our thoughts and prayers are with everyone throughout the Southeast.
Hmm.
Said so, but one thing I'd like to touch on, and again, we're going to have a special segment here in about 5 or 6 minutes. But before we get to that, one thing I'd like to touch on is just how the cancellation of the game affects Liberty. Because I mean, it's been the biggest story. Liberty's 4-0. We know their strength of schedule, is not good, and we kind of all looked at this Appalachian State game as one marquee game that we kind of circled as like, we could put our, stake in the ground and say, hey, if we get this win and we're undefeated, we can look back at that and say, hey, we beat a Sun Belt contender. What are your guys' thoughts? I'll share mine after you do, but what are you guys' thoughts on how the cancellation of this game affects Liberty's playoff shot?
So I think, and I know I've mentioned it on here before. I've mentioned it on Fastlane with Ed Lane, but you got to think the way the G5 is right now with one spot. It's very similar to the way the college football was in the early 2000s with the BCS. With it was two teams playing off, and it's not even that; it's one team. Things are going to happen, not just this year. We saw things happen last year. I think everyone agrees that Liberty got lucky. There was a bit of luck. Some weird things had to happen. Weird things had to happen for Liberty to get that spot. And this year, the weird thing that happened didn't help us out. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. It doesn't lessen the season. It doesn't lessen this team. It doesn't automatically make this season a failure. Just things don't go a certain way. I mean, look at UNLV, just lost their quarterback. Like, they were on the fast track to the getting the G5 spot. So it's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. It is what it is. It's beyond anyone's control. And you could sit here and so Ian could have scheduled better games. John, I'm coming to your house Friday night and I'm staying for dinner. You're going to say no. Like, you can't force people to do things that people don't want to do. And guess what? The reality is teams do not want to play Liberty for a variety of reasons. We can do an entire podcast about it. And it is what it is. It stinks that this happened. And really, at the end of the day, this isn't even it's not a day ruiner. It's not a week ruiner. It is what it is. If this is the worst thing to happen to you as a Liberty fan, you know what? I think you're going to be just fine with all the positives that have happened in our athletic department in the last 7 years. So it is what it is. I'm not going to waste any time wallowing over it. If we are lucky enough to get into a bowl game, I'm not going to sit there and pout and go, "Oh, we should have been the power." No, we probably shouldn't have been. And it is what it is. Like I'm realistic. Watch more college football, people. Sorry, CT, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much more to say. The one thing I'll correct you on is UNLV is still on the fast track, and they probably got better. But that's just a very side note. But how to correct you there? So, yeah, I would say in reality, I don't think the game changed much. I know we had the one comment saying that an App State win would have moved the needle. Tough to say. We'll have to see where they go. If that South Alabama game was an outlier, or really who that team is, but. I mean, regardless, as Richie said, last year, a lot of things had to go right, and they did, which was amazing. But this year, I mean, we'll have to see. October, November hold crazy things in college football. But the way things are looking right now, they weren't going to add up that way, regardless if we had 11 games or 12 games on the schedule. So it's something that I think, we just sit back and enjoy the season now. We enjoy where we go. We root for that conference championship, root for a great bowl game and a fun bowl game against a good team, because that's what college sports is about. And it's great. And it's an amazing thing to get to go to a bowl game like that. We're so privileged that every single year up to this point that we've been eligible, we've gone to one. Like, that's not like the amount of schools I can say that, like, slim to none. So let's enjoy it. If crazy things happened and somehow playoffs opened up again, like, amazing. We'll talk about it at that point. But I don't think not having the game really changed that much one way or the other.
Yeah, I think, I agree with you, CT. I think at the end of the day, if we end up 11-0 or 12-0, if we get a 12th game, which I'll touch on, I know we had a comment about that just now, but I think we'll still be in the mix. If you're a conference champion, you're one of those group of five conference champion that's in the mix, and that's all you can be, is hope to be there. And yes, we will need some help, but we were going to need some help regardless of if we're 11-0 or 12-0 with the win over App State. I mean, UNLV, you guys mentioned, they're ahead of us. Boise State's ahead of us. JMU's ahead of us. Army or Navy, if they continue what they're doing, they're ahead of us. So we would need a lot of help. You could make an argument that Tulane, even with 2 losses right now, that they're ahead of us. So we would need a lot of help, but we'll continue to talk about that as the weeks go on. I will touch on the reschedule of the game, which I also talked about this with Ed Lane on his show Monday night, and I posted that on ASORred.com if you want to go back and watch it. I talked about it for close to 10 minutes, but currently I do not think that we're going to get a 12th game. Some crazy things would have to happen. I don't know if App State will even play this week. I haven't heard anything out of there that says they are or they're not. So, playing another football game right now might still be on the furthest thing from the top of their mind. So not sure. So if they start having to cancel conference games, then them wanting to reschedule a game against Liberty continues to go down further and further down the list. So I don't anticipate us playing App this year. And then, as far as us getting another game scheduled, that's just so much has to go right. It's so unlikely that would happen. There's so few dates that are open on the calendar that would match up with other teams. There's so few other teams that would have an opening at that time too, and we would both agree to play. So I don't anticipate it happening. I know Ian McCall is working on that, but we'll see what happens. But I promise our next special guest, I'm going to go ahead and jump off to that. He's got a hard cutoff here in a few minutes. So we'll come back with a lot more, but hang tight for this special segment. Brendan, what's up, buddy?
I don't know if we need that intro anymore. How are we doing?
Oh, I had to have a little bit of a throwback. Live with 5-5 is back, even though you're no longer number 5-5. We got Harrison Hayes taking over in that spot, and he's done well so far this season. But for those of you that don't know or maybe newer to the podcast, Brendan Schlittler, former Liberty offensive lineman, started for a long time there at right guard. The last few years, just finished his career this past season, is now graduated and is married and has moved down to North Carolina. We'll get more of an update from you, but he was in this spot for 3 seasons, I think, doing the Live with 5-5 hit. But certainly glad to have you back on. How's everything going, Brendan?
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was definitely different not being on during the season, but I've been watching Quentin, and he's been doing a phenomenal job. So everything is going well. I'm on the eastern side of North Carolina, so a lot better than the western side. But overall, just doing very well and very appreciative of the situation I'm in.
Yeah, I've been able to see you and catch up with you at a couple of the football games already this season. So that's been a lot of fun, and I know things are going well for you, and it's exciting to follow you and just like the other former Flames as they move on away from their playing days. It's always fun to keep in contact with them. But take us into give everyone listening and watching an update. I know you posted on social media. Your wife Morgan has also posted on social media. You all kind of felt led to help Western North Carolina. Give us an update on how you got to that point and what you all are attempting to do.
Yeah, first off, I appreciate you having me on to explain all this. So I was actually supposed to go to the App State game and stay in Boone, and I was a few hours from leaving to head over there and got a text from a couple players that they had received word that the game was canceled. And at that point, I figured the flooding was probably going to get pretty out of hand. Once the flooding all came through, I had a buddy that was stuck in Boone. I had a buddy stuck in Waynesville, and just communicating with them when they had service. Some of it was in and out, and it was pretty evident that, we saw pictures on social media, and there's been stuff that's been put out that's pretty bad, but the stories that I've heard and the pictures and all that, I hate to say it, it's much worse than what they're saying it is. And there's a lot of people that have lost everything. There's a lot of people that just have nothing anymore. So I would say Monday of this week, it was on my heart the whole morning. I was like, man, I wonder if I can make it out there at some point to help. And, it just kept tugging my heart. And then my wife texted me and she said, hey, I'm feeling led to go. And I'm like, all right, there we go. So we're both in. And so we made the GoFundMe within 5-10 minutes, posted on all the social medias. And at this point, we've had over, between Venmos and GoFundMe's almost 30 donations totaling almost $3,000. So the generosity has been outstanding. But our plan is basically to go out there, when it's somewhat safe. Now it's all helicopters in the bad areas and emergency vehicles. But we want to go out there and build some relationships with a couple families, get to know them, get to know what's going on, and really meet the needs of what's going on. Because as I said, there was houses that went flying off of cliffs 1,000 feet down, and they're done. They have nothing left. So I'm connected with a couple people that have worked with the Red Cross, Samaritan's Purse, a couple locals, East Tennessee, Waynesville, and in the Boone area. So we're working on the logistics now of what it's going to look like, but we really want to get in there and build some personal relationships and help people. Because this is not going to be – there's people that need stuff now, but this is going to be an ongoing deal for months and months and months. And there's some people that have $50 left in their bank account and they've got nothing left. And in a few weeks, they're going to need help. And there's people that need help now. So every little bit helps. And we're just excited to head out there once it all works out.
Yeah, that's a good point you make there too, because it's obviously top of the page, front of the show, news for everybody right now. But like you said, this is going to last for weeks, months, years, probably. So a lot of times when the next shiny thing comes across, the news moves on, and some of that helps backs away. But these are people that are going to need help for a long time, and that's awesome. So have you been able to locate or nail down exactly where you guys are going, or have a ballpark idea of when you're looking to go? Is that later this fall? I know a lot of that's up in the air is, you're trying to wait to see some of these roads get open back up and stuff. But what do you know about that you can share with us so far?
Yeah, I was explaining to my wife last night because we were trying to drill down a plan. I'm like, to be honest, it could change every single day. I might get word that my buddy's got all these roads open near him and they've got all these families that need help, or, we might receive word that they're pushing everyone back for a few weeks. So what I tell everyone is as soon as they're deeming it safe for normal people that aren't in massive trucks and helicopters to go in and help people, that's when we're heading in. And as you mentioned, it's going to be an ongoing deal. So I know whether we help them Friday night or in 3 weeks, these people need it. And I know you guys mentioned it on an earlier segment. It really put everything into perspective. A lot of our people, and I mean, naturally you're like, oh man, we lose an opportunity of a 12th game. And then you see people that lost everything they had. And it's like, well, maybe that 12th game isn't as important as some of us think. So these events always put life into perspective in a unique way. And sadly, it takes events like this and previous tragedies to really bring people together. But it is powerful to see how the Lord works in adversity like this.
Yeah, even for myself, it's so easy to have these things, whether it's football or relationships or things that are good. We put them up on this pedestal sometimes, and God can use tragic events. Unfortunately, sometimes He can use those, work through those to make sure we got our priorities right. So we'll make sure to share your GoFundMe link in the description of the show after we post it and on the website on ASORred.com, so people can go there and help. Last one for you, Brendan. We'll let you go. Again, thank you for joining on short notice. I reached out to you this morning. You said be happy to join. So how can people help you? How can people help people of Western North Carolina or others that are affected by this hurricane? What's the best way for them to be able to do that?
Yeah, something I don't want to forget to mention is once we do go out there, we're going to be posting the pictures and the videos and the stories of all those supplies and, monetary value at work. But I know you're going to share the GoFundMe, but I mean, Samaritan's Purse is what I've been hearing is one of the best. They're huge out there. I know the Red Cross does a great job as well. And there's many Facebook pages, actually, no matter where you live, there's people that have helicopters and jets that are having people drop off supplies, and they're flying them into the Asheville airport because they do have access to that. That hasn't been shut down. So I would encourage everyone to check their local Facebook pages and communities and see if anyone's taken a haul over. But at the end of the day, everything helps. And I mean, $1, a can, whatever it is, it's going to make an impact. And this is bigger than ourselves at this point. So.
Awesome. Well, Brendan, I appreciate you joining us, and appreciate you being willing to go out and help. And we'll be following your journey, and maybe we'll get an update from you later in the season and see how things went. But thanks, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.
What's going on, guys? We are back, and welcome to a new edition of the Liberty Flame Sports Recap. Let's get it going. Last Monday, men's golf finished 6 out of 11 in the Rob Myers Invite. On Tuesday, men's soccer fell 1-0 to top-ranked Clemson on the road. On Friday, women's soccer fell to FIU for their first loss of the season. Field hockey defeated Providence 2-1. Volleyball defeated Louisiana Tech to end Friday night 3-1. They followed that up with a 3-0 win on Saturday. Men's soccer defeated Western Illinois, a conference win 7-1 on the road. Big win for the men's soccer team. Obviously, the football game against App State was canceled. To conclude the week on Sunday, men's tennis and women's tennis competed in the Liberty Duels. There was no score reported. However, they did do well in the doubles there. And field hockey lost to number 17 Albany 4-2. We kick things off this week on Thursday as women's soccer takes on UTEP at home at 6 o'clock p.m. Looking to get back on track, men's soccer starts a road trip to Texas, taking on Incarnate Word at 8 o'clock. On Friday, cross country travels up to Notre Dame to take part in the Joe Pian Invitational at 10:30 a.m. in the morning. That race will kick off. Field hockey will take on Temple at 1, and women's volleyball will start a 2-game homestand against Jacksonville State at 6. Saturday, cross country has another meet at the Paul Short Run at Lehigh at 10:15 in the morning. Women's volleyball will conclude their 2-game stand against Jacksonville State at 1 o'clock. On Sunday, the week concludes as golf takes a part in the West Bay Invitational at Florida Gulf Coast. Field hockey will take on App State at home on the mountain. Women's soccer also on the mountain will face New Mexico State in a conference championship rematch of last year. And men's soccer will conclude their road trip to Texas against Houston Christian at 8 o'clock p.m. East. That's all for this week's edition of the Liberty Flames Sports Recap. I'm Zach McLaren, and go Flames!
Does golf go on all season? Like all year?
Well, they have the spring is technically their season, but they also take part in some tournaments, as you heard there, in the fall as well too. But the spring is their primary season.
Because that's when, like, a little tuck behind the curtain, Chad will text all of us, like, locked in some random tournament, golf time. I'm like, is this important? Is this not important? What's happening right now?
We get locked in, at least I do, and I think Chad does too, when we get into the conference tournament.
Yeah.
And then, the golf team has been so good. They're in the regionals just about every year, or have been.
One of the quietest.
They really are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're one of the top teams on campus, arguably the top team on campus, probably between them and field hockey, but golf's been doing it a little bit longer.
Yeah. Crazy to think, but they got great gear too. I just want that on the record. Very jealous of the golf gear, the golf bag, and all that comes with that. So we have a game this week, FIU, but a lot of games played this weekend as well, all across Conference USA. Western Kentucky put everyone on notice. One of my best friends is a BC fan. I've mentioned it before. I was quietly rooting for Western Kentucky, but such is life. Liberty remains the only undefeated team in the conference at 4-0, 2-0 in conference play, with clear tiers starting to form. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I definitely think so. We talked about it. I think it was last week. Liberty, Sam Houston, and Western Kentucky have set themselves apart. And, shout out to Sam Houston. Huge win for them for the conference last week. They fell behind Texas State 22-0 in the first quarter. And I was watching that game, cut it off, flipped on to another one. And next thing you know, they come back and won, hit a field goal last play of the game or last couple of seconds to win it. So big win for them. They're 4-1, putting together a nice resume. Western Kentucky, like you said, they had Boston College on the ropes. BC scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to come from behind to win that one late. But those 3 teams, in my opinion, are the ones that are going to be duking it out for the conference championship. FIU is one that'll be in the mix. We'll obviously see them and talk about them more in a few minutes, but see them next week. But how many the rest of the conference, let's just be honest, they have not been good. What do we have? 3 teams that have lost to FCS opponents. FIU, Kennesaw, and UTEP. You got 2 teams that are winless, and the other half of the league is 1 and whatever. So it's been a rough start to things, but hey, we do get midweek action going now. Conference USA midweek football in October. So we got, I think, 1 game Thursday, maybe 1 Friday, and then next week we've got, a full slate of midweek games. I think Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and that'll be going on for the next few weeks.
I do, John. Can you throw that graphic back up on the screen?
Sure.
For those who are not watching live or watching on Spotify, thank you for checking us out later on after we are live. And if you are watching this live, thank you so much. Click that little subscribe button, free. Doesn't cost anything. And if you're not sure if you have or have not yet, click on that. I do want to mention Andrew's comment. Yeah, ECU, big win over UTSA. UTSA, yeah, they were one of those sleeper teams that could be the G5 representative moving forward. But at the bottom of the Conference USA standings right now, UTEP and New Mexico State, is very telling that the Mountain West, those are the 2 teams that they're going after.
Have fun.
Yeah.
UTEP 0-4 and a Southern Utah loss, have fun.
So when everyone's sitting there going, well, it's clearly not about wins and losses. They're so many other factors at play when it comes to conference realignment, and I'm in no way, shape, or form pretending to be an expert or an insider, but the fact that the Mountain West said, yeah, we'll take the two at the bottom there is all right, fine. It's going to make your conference worse.
Yeah, the news came out earlier today. UTEP is officially going to the Mountain West. Texas State's reportedly turning the Mountain, or I don't know if they're turning them down, but the negotiation between the two, the Mountain West and the Texas State, who is in the Sun Belt currently, have kind of stalled, and so it doesn't look like that's happening. So I don't think New Mexico State's too far down the Mountain West list, but I'll be honest with you, this new look Mountain West, they don't look too hot in football. I mean, they got some, UNLV's in there. They're obviously having a good year.
It's the MAC of the West. Have fun.
Yeah.
I don't think they're, Conference USA is every bit as good, if not better, than New Look League.
100%. What do we got on deck this week, Conference USA? And I know we have a game.
Well, we have a game, but it's technically not till next week.
Yes, we have until next week.
Tuesday, right when we'll be having the pod.
Yeah, well,
so this is our FIU preview.
Yes, this will be our FIU preview. I'm glad we're getting our schedules straight. But
let me chat GPT the FIU football team. You keep going.
No, but it'll be next week. So while we're on that note, we'll mention that next week we will not have a show as we're doing. There'll be a football game Tuesday night. This time next week we'll be at. Some of us will be at Williams Stadium. I'll be at Williams Stadium, and but then we'll come back the following week. We'll get back on schedule. I think we have one Wednesday night show, but then the rest will be on Tuesday night. So we do have some Conference USA games this week. I think help me out, CT. I think it's Sam Houston.
Yeah, Sam Houston is playing at UTEP on Thursday night, and then we got Jacksonville State at Kennesaw in their first Conference USA game on Friday night.
Okay, yeah, and Kennesaw has been really disappointing too. They're 0-4, and they lost to an FCS team this past week. So and that's a little bit of a rivalry between Jack State and Kennesaw. They're close to each other. I'm not sure how much they've played in football. Kennesaw is obviously a newer football program, but that'll be an interesting game. So that's kind of what we got going on this week. And then, like I said, next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you got games going on. So I enjoy October football, midweek October football. I did last year. I enjoy it this year. If you go back to this past Saturday, it'll be 6 straight Saturdays with no Liberty football game, which you might not like that. Personally, I enjoy that because, typically when I'm going to a Liberty football game, I don't get to watch any other college football. I watched so much college football this past Saturday. Certainly, I would have rather been in Boone. I think a lot of people would have, but it was nice to be able to sit back and watch some other games.
Yeah,
and I will say as well that once we get started with that Thursday Sam Houston UTEP game, we have football, whether it's Conference USA, college football, NFL, whatever it may be, every single day from Thursday, October 3rd until December. So get ready to lock in.
Oh, we deserve it. We deserve it at the end of the day. I said it last year. I love the weekday games. I love the fact that I can throw a game on my outdoor TV and I could do the leaves. I can get in the gutters. Richie Longshots versus the leaves is a battle every year. Pushes me to my limit, but we got football next Tuesday, which I have to start to adjust and get ready for that. Little Tuesday night football live at Williams Stadium against the FIU Pitbulls. Maybe the FIU Panthers. I don't know. I'm just going to roll with the graphic that's on the screen. It's Pitbull. He's giving a lot of money. Someone's giving money somewhere. I don't know what's happening, but they're basically the FIU Pitbulls. And that's what it comes down to. 2-3 this season. They're coming off a 17-10 win against La Tech. Player to watch from them on the defensive side of the field, Travion Barnes. That name sounds familiar. 54 tackles leading the team. Mike McIntyre, their head coach, previously at Colorado and San Jose State. Side note, I'm actually going to Colorado, Utah in November. Very excited for that. I'll report back on what a Colorado tailgate looks like in its comparison to Liberty's. But FIU, I hope we win by a lot.
It'll be it's an interesting spot, I think, for Liberty. I mean, you're going to be going on 17 days without playing a game.
Yeah.
Now that's a little
It's like a ball game.
misleading. It is, but it's a little misleading, I think, in my mind, because for 5 or 6 of those days at the front end, you were gearing up and preparing for a really big game, and then all of a sudden that got taken away from you, and you probably had 3 or 4 days, a little bit of a lighter schedule in lighter practice, but then we're able to flip the script to FIU and prepare for them while they played on Saturday in a conference game, no less. They picked up a win over Louisiana Tech by a touchdown. So FIU has been a little bit of an up and down team. I think that would be fair to say. I mean, they had a really impressive win. I think it was week 2 or week 3 against one of the directional Michigan schools. I think it was Central Michigan. And I mean, they just completely destroyed them, like 52-16 or something like that. And I was sitting here thinking, oh, whoa, they might be legit. I mean, an FIU team to beat another FBS team by a score like that, it definitely catches your attention. Mm-hmm. But then they turn around and lose to Monmouth, one of those New Jersey schools, I believe.
Yeah, to confirm, they beat Central Michigan 52-16, so great win from there. Sandwiched in between there in the Monmouth game, they also lost to FAU, a really weird game. I know, John, you and I were paying attention a little bit to that one, and it was just a weird game. They kind of outperformed FAU, but still lost. But then they did just bounce back. They got a conference win right away last week against Louisiana Tech, who also is a bottom feeder in Conference USA this year. But going 1-0 to start off conference play is always solid. So
sure, with them being 1-0 coming into Williams Stadium, playing the defending conference champion, a Liberty team that I'm sure most people are thinking they've struggled. We have struggled, in my opinion, as well too, at times throughout the season. So they'll be thinking, hey, we can come in here, get a win, get to 2-0, and be kind of sitting pretty in the catbird seat as we get further into conference play. But and Coach McIntyre has always had success, been able to rebuild programs, and by year 3, year 4, he's been able to put together 10-win teams. So they're obviously not going to get to 10 wins this year, but they've shown some improvement. Kewan Jenkins, their quarterback, he's a true sophomore. He took over as starter last year as a true freshman. He's a dual threat guy. He's dangerous. You got to account for him, in the run game and obviously as a passer as well too. So Liberty's got to be prepared for him. But I think Liberty should be able to flex their muscles in this game and run the ball. This, as I recall the game last year, I was down in Miami at the now Pitbull Stadium. Liberty just completely, it was 38-6 was the final. That score should have been that margin is a lot closer than it really was. We completely dominated that game, ran for 400 some odd yards, I believe. And both Cooley and Quentin Cooley and Billy Lucas went over 100. Caden Salter had 4 touchdowns in the game, I believe. We completely dominated that game. And, I'm hoping we do the same thing again this week. That was kind of the game this year. That was kind of the game that kind of felt like we, turned it over, the end of September last year, flipped a switch and kind of started to hit our stride going down the stretch run into conference play.
Yeah. And you never know what's going to happen, especially coming off a long break that we are kind of coming into. But players to watch, we have one on the defensive side of the ball, one on the offensive side of the ball. We got Joe Carter, junior linebacker, on the defensive side. It's a phenomenal chain. I can't see what that says, but that pops. And we have all reliable Quentin Cooley, who I think is getting into that category of Liberty running back Mount Rushmore. When you got a team with Rashad Jennings, Sam Congato, he's in that Mount Rushmore. He's in that category.
Well, no offense to Sam Congato, and his kids go to my kids' school, so I see him every now and then. So if he hears this, don't shoot the messenger.
But if you are listening, Flames Rising Collective.
Yeah, that's true too. Good plug. But he actually wasn't even. I guess this is fair to say, that good of a running back at Liberty. He was third string most of his career.
Really?
Yeah, he really was. Dre Barnes, this is when I was a student. Dre Barnes, we just put him into the Liberty Hall of Fame whenever that was, a couple weeks ago, and he was a starting running back during that time. Gatto got some playing time, but he was the third string, and then he kind of made it onto a practice squad. And he's a good guy, great to talk to. But yeah, Cooley's certainly on the short list of one of the best running backs we've ever had at Liberty. You know, Rashad's probably at the top of that list right now, and there's some others as well. Dre Barnes would certainly be in that list too. But what he's been able to do has certainly been impressive, and you know, having the extra week plus off, hopefully he's back to 100+%, and we can just unleash him, because we don't have another game.
Though, I just want to say,
oh, of course, I'd take him at less than 100. Sure,
give me 2 at 90.
Sure, but you know, we got 2 weeks before our next game after this against Kennesaw. So, you know, we don't have to hold anything back. We can, you know, not have to worry about limiting his reps or anybody else's.
I think the other thing, just to add on about Cooley, on that graphic that you had, he's averaging 7 yards a carry right now this season, which that is unreal. I mean, the amount of running, but there's only one other running back that I can think of that's putting up numbers like that, and that's Ashton Genty, and he's Heisman potential, and he's at 10, which is
There's no way he wins the Heisman either.
That's no,
right? Like everyone's like, he's a Heisman. Like they're not giving the Heisman to a running back from Boise State.
He would have to break one of Barry Sanders' either touchdown or rushing record, but that's beside the point. Regardless, I don't think we appreciate Cooley enough. We say like, yeah, he's really good. He could be on the Mount Rushmore of running backs, like, which is high honors for sure. But on a week-to-week basis, it's like just the results that he puts in, 100 yards consistently, again, 7 yards a carry. Like it is not stated enough how good he is and how much he's carried the offense at times this season. Yeah,
definitely. And that's the thing about Cooley is he's Mr. Consistent, Mr. Reliable. I mean, it's just every time nonstop. And you don't even, it's not really a pretty 100 yards. You look up, you know, third quarter, it's like, man, he's got 10 carries for 85 yards or whatever it is. And thinking, wow, I didn't even realize that. And it ends up with over 100. But he's just consistent. He's always falling forward. I think we talked about that some last year, is like, you know, when he looks like he's getting no gain, he'll fall forward and pick up 2, 3, 4. You know, he'll turn a 2-yard gain into a 5-yard gain. You know, so it's impressive to see.
No, 100%. I think we kind of joked as a Liberty community when we got NCAA in August, and we're like, man, they made him way too fast. And then he's shown this year the kid's got some speed. He can fly a little bit. So he really has become an all-purpose back in this offense. Excited to see. So, side note, about an hour before this podcast, maybe 45 minutes before the podcast started, I decided I was going to hop on the Peloton. Do I think Cooley could be an NFL guy? Sure.
Why not? If you're averaging 7 yards a carry, like there's a spot on some roster for you.
DeMario, NFL guy. Malik, NFL guy. I think he's getting in that same breath. I think it's very dependent on what team takes a chance on you and what kind of player they're looking for, where, you know, Pop is not only going to be, but he's going to be better in certain offenses. Quentin Cooley, better in certain offenses. A team like the Ravens, I could see that being a thing, but sure, why not? Liberty always has players that get opportunities.
You could compare him to, sorry, Richie, didn't mean to cut you off. No. You could compare him to not saying he's at this level. I mean, talking about a future Hall of Famer, but Derrick Henry, he's similar to a Derrick Henry. Just, you know, he's not quite as tall, but he's the same type of runner, very physical.
When Richie made the comment, brought up NCAA and was talking about his speed, the first thing that popped in my head was Derrick Henry's run on Monday night.
Yeah.
And on the first play of the game. And it was like, wait, where did that speed come from? Like, he can run like that?
He's a dog.
And Cooley's the same exact thing. Like, I mean, again, not the same size by any means. Like, I mean, Cooley's a good sized, like, muscular football player, but Derrick Henry's not
Yeah,
human.
but that relation
yeah,
to speed to size.
Exactly. But there is a lot of similarities there in terms of running style and stuff.
Yeah. So before we got it going on our Quentin Cooley rant, which I wouldn't call it a rant, we're just spitting facts. I got on the Peloton and I was going through my shirts in my drawer. I said, what do I want to wear? Like I need to get in the zone. I didn't want to get on the bike, but I knew I had to. And I saw a shirt sitting in my drawer, and it was a gift from dear friend of the program, Sam Stone. It was a Leesburg, Florida shirt. I put it on and I dominated the Peloton ride. If I would have put on a Peloton ride from Toledo, Ohio, is Toledo a town? Yes. Toledo? No. I wouldn't have gotten top 20% like I did. The Leesburg, Florida shirt gave me a little bit of extra. Who's the guy in the Bible with the long hair? Seamus? Samus? Samson. I would have gotten the third try. Samson. Basically, Samson long hair, me in a Leesburg, Florida shirt. John, run the ad.
It's real Florida. It's old Florida, and it's close to all of the Central Florida attractions. Crystal clear natural springs in one of the largest chain of lakes. The beautiful lakefront city of Leesburg offers the best in outdoor adventures, fishing, and quaint shops and restaurants on historic downtown Main Street. Come visit and see how welcoming a hometown city feels. Experience Leesburg, the way Florida is meant to be.
All right, we're back. We're going to talk college football. What an I'm so mad that I missed Alabama, Georgia. I had a phenomenal time at the Vampire Weekend concert, living my best life. But I hear I missed an ESPN Instant Classic.
An all-timer. Yep, absolutely.
You got a 17-year-old just shredding Georgia's defense like awesome.
Also, I did not realize he's related to Serena Williams, Serena and Venus. So
yes, cousin.
That family's ridiculous. But yeah, that game was an all-time classic. I'll be completely honest. I turned it off in the first half. I was like, oh, guess this is over. And then Georgia scored once or twice. And I was like, okay, I'll put it back on. And then I'm so glad I did. That was absolutely, I don't have the right words to describe that ending. It was
I was shocked. The concert started like 8:20, and I think the last time I checked, Bama was up 21-0, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I've been pro Kalen DeBoer. I've been pro Bama this year. I think the whole nation has kind of slept on them, and I went, all right, I'm vindicated. And then I went, oh, I checked at the encore break. I'm like, what's happening? But it was an awesome game. The highlights were incredible.
Yeah.
Hope we get a chance to see them play again in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a couple teams that are going to stand in the way of that. So we're going to talk a little bit of college football. We're going to talk a little bit of gambling, investing. However you want to look at it is completely up to you. So we have our favorite. So which of the teams at Vegas or Atlantic City or whatever computer FanDuel has thinks is going to win this week. I'll kick it off. I like Tulane minus 14.5 against UAB. UAB not moving in the right direction. Tulane, yes, couple losses, but I think this is going to be like that get right game. Our calendar turns to October. We're back.
I love it. I will take any chance as y'all know, to fade Trent Dilfer. Just not a good head coach here at this level.
I'm not going to say anything about Trent Dilfer after last year's debacle.
Yes, no, very, very understandably so. I enjoy from a football perspective. I don't think he's great with X's and O's at college. Did great at high school. He can continue to succeed there. So I like that play. I'll definitely have a play in a game with them next week as well. I'm just going to keep on taking Tennessee until the wheels fall off. I don't see why not. So Tennessee minus 13.5. They're playing at Arkansas. It's going to be Arkansas. Their offense has looked better this year with Petrino as the offensive coordinator, but their defense isn't great. whatsoever. So I expect Tennessee just to keep on taking care of business. As you said, there might be a couple teams in the way of us seeing an SEC championship of Alabama and Georgia.
And this is one of them.
Tennessee,
Yep.
absolutely one of those two. So yeah, give me Tennessee to keep on rolling.
Absolutely. If you are looking for a little, I would love Tulane a little bit more if that got under 2 touchdowns, even at 14. But it's a great, maybe a little teaser. If you want to include a couple games in the teaser, Tennessee and Tulane, get in there. Upset alert.
Upset alert. So I know we talked about it earlier. John said he doesn't know what's going to happen with this game. We'll see if it happens or not. I thought I saw a couple things that Marshall is opening up their practice facilities for App State. So we'll see if this game happens. If it does, give me App State all day on the money line. Yes, they struggled against South Alabama. I think they're better than that. I absolutely think they're better than this Marshall team. This Marshall team is not Marshall teams of old. They're very, very mid at best. So App State with the added motivation and everything else, absolutely love this spot for them. So give me the Mountaineers to bounce back for their fans, for their community at Marshall.
I'm in on any team coming off any bit of tragedy. Upset alert, Rutgers.
They're back.
Oh, I can't believe Washington favorited against Michigan, just lost to Rutgers. I think that's the commutative property of mathematics. That would make Rutgers better than Michigan, but that's not for me to decide. Big win against Washington. They should have never sent that Washington kid to kick the 53-yarder.
Oh.
It was that. Just right out to he didn't stand a chance.
I mean, he honestly single-handedly lost on that game because he missed 3 field goals and they outgained respectfully to Rutgers. Washington outgained by 200 yards. Like the box score is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day,
the win.
All that matters is the number in the win column. So I'm riding it. Rutgers, Nebraska. Big Dylan Raiola guy. Not this week. We're gonna pummel the bootleg Patrick Mahomes. We're gonna crush him. Hand the ball off. Run the ball. Control the clock. Nebraska. I'm not worried about Nebraska. Nebraska. I am worried about a Liberty Rutgers bowl game, but that's a future me problem. It's a future me problem. We'll worry about that later. It is what it is. Points.
Your podcast life depends on your choice and who you're rooting for, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
Future us problem.
Yes. Points.
Navy, Air Force. Navy's not bad.
Not at all.
Navy's not bad. I think they can hang 21-28. I'm just banking on Air Force to get 7. I think it could happen.
I like that a lot.
I know nothing about the teams. This is just strictly based off of historical accuracy. My grandfather, rest in peace, was in the Navy. What am I going to bet the under? No. Navy, Air Force, over.
From more of a football's perspective as well, just to add on top of that, I mean, Air Force, they lost so much last year. They had so many seniors. That team was great because of it, but service academies, you don't really have transfers coming in or anything like that. So they had to really reset this year. Mm-hmm. They're struggling a lot. So, yeah, they should hopefully be able to put up 7 or so. But that defense, no matter how aware they are of the triple option or anything like that, I don't think there's much that they can do to stop this Navy team. I think Navy's going to run all over them. Navy also has added in this passing element, and it is that they run down your throat, and all of a sudden 70-yard pass for a touchdown, and you don't know what hit you.
It's the greatest part of Army Navy. I think I've said it before on this podcast. There's nothing better than the Army Navy game when 5 minutes ago in the third quarter, some team throws the ball, and it's never complete. But the fact that it's out there and is a possibility is incredible to watch.
And now that they can actually complete the ball with a competent quarterback, game over. So, love that one. I'm going to go Clemson, Florida State over 47.5.
Love it too.
And you might be asking yourself, how could Florida State contribute to this over whatsoever? Well, it looks like DJU is going to be out. Might be out for a while. Some hand problem or something. Who knows how
Allegedly.
real it is. If it's real, I mean, please wish him all the best. Want him to get better. But
Sure. He's a beast,
regardless,
DJU.
just like Conference USA losing UTEP, probably addition by subtraction here for Florida State. Tough to get much worse. So I think Florida State can contribute to this sum, maybe put up 14 or so. But regardless, they aren't the same team. And Clemson is rolling on all cylinders right now. So I think Clemson could put up 40 by themselves. So if Florida State can contribute absolutely anything, which I think they can, give me that over 47.5.
I love it too. If I didn't have 4% left on my phone, I would try to calculate what a parlay would be with all of our picks. Probably be pretty good. And I love it. I love it. It would probably pay something plus 5,000.
Plus a lot.
Like it'd be a pretty penny. But game of the week, the game that everyone's eyeing up this Saturday, number 10 Michigan at Washington. This is very rare where you have a ranked team as an underdog against an unranked team. Yes, I know they're on the road, but it's still Michigan. I just think they have more talent than Washington has. I do think Washington, I like their coach. I think they're going to be okay long term, but they're still in that first year growing pain situation.
Yeah, I like their coach a lot. He came from Arizona last year, and he really transformed that offense. Their quarterback still at Arizona, and he's putting up numbers again this year. But yeah, as you said, they just don't have the pieces yet, really. And Will Rogers, their quarterback, he's not looked impressive at all.
No, I'm not a Will Rogers.
They've looked undisciplined. They've had a lot of different problems. I've gotten burned by them a few times just watching their games, even thinking they're going to win, think of the Apple Cup and so on. So this line says to me normally in the spot it would be, hey, take Washington, but football brain does trump that some, and I would say Michigan, now that they've made their quarterback change and just fully committed to the run with a quarterback who actually adds some elements to the running game, they look a lot better. I'm not saying that they're going to be competing for the Big Ten or anything like that. I think they're probably an 8-9 win team this year. But regardless, I do like them to get the win this week.
Speaking of the Big Ten Conference Championship game, I am starting to map out the potential possibility of Liberty playing in the Conference USA Championship game and then having to go to Indianapolis for Rutgers in the Conference Championship game. So
it's like opposite of those guys that do the Indy 500 and the Coke.
Yes, like I'm just going south north. Yeah,
exactly.
It is what it is. Again, future me problem. So a lot of great conversation. We're on the same page for a lot of things. And you and I have had a pretty good investing. We've had a pretty good gambling season this year. And there's one reason why that is. Because sometimes, your betting luck, it's as inconsistent as the Packers when they're with Malik Willis and then they're without Malik Willis. But Bettors Coaching is here to change that. They specialize in transforming sports betting into a smarter, more profitable experience. With personalized coaching focused on smart bankroll management, disciplined betting habits, and data-driven strategies, they tailor everything to fit your goals. Head over to betterbetterscoaching.com and sign up for your complimentary call today. Better Bettors Coaching. With the right coaching, winning consistently is not a gamble.
Long shot's taken off there.
Yeah, I think he needed a little break, but that's all good. Good show, good information, and once again, just to recap, make sure you go back and listen to our segment with Brendan Schlittler. If you're just now joining us, former Liberty offensive lineman, now lives in North Carolina. He's going to be heading out to western part of the state in the coming days and weeks to offer some support and lend his helping hand with some others that he knows. So be sure to listen to that, ways you can support him and others in the area. Hopefully everyone can start to, hopefully the water has receded some there and people can start to dig out and start to rebuild and restore their lives all throughout the Southeast, but certainly in the Boone, North Carolina area.
Absolutely, yeah. As you continue to say, just thoughts and prayers with them. Our help from all of the Liberty community is going that way as well. So wish them speedy recovery. Is nothing but the best for them, their communities, for families, praying for them as well.
Certainly. So we got a football game coming up here next week. Liberty FIU. I think the Flames, will finally get back in and on the field, but it's one of only, I think, Cia Red tweeted this out. We tweeted this out earlier. It's the only game over the course of 31 or 32 days for Liberty. So if you're in Lynchburg or nearby and can make it out Tuesday night next week to cheer on the Flames, definitely do that. They won't be back home until October 30th. And then not again until mid to late November for a Saturday game. So be sure to support the team, and I'm feeling good, feeling confident. We got another week until the game. Got Coach Chadwell's press conference coming up Thursday morning this week, so that's a little different on the schedule. But what do you guys got?
I'm happy to. I referenced it earlier, but I'm excited to have the midweek games. I think outside of the fact that it's specific to Conference USA, we have all eyes on Liberty. Mm-hmm. And that's when you get the people from Barstool and Josh Pate and the national college football crew kind of talking about Liberty. They're not talking about anything else. They're not talking about the hosh posh. They're talking about the Liberty football team. And I think that's a great opportunity for us to get out there, succeed, put up some points, get everyone to kind of see Caden Salter, where, again, all eyes are going to be on him. I don't recall what other games are going on next Tuesday, but I think it'll be the more watched game, if it is a split, but it's a good opportunity to kind of make a statement nationally.
I mean, the other thing that I just thought of when you said that is when we think about last year, of course, our first year in Conference USA, the first year of the midweek games for Conference USA. And in a lot of ways, these midweek games probably allowed for a lot of national exposure mm-hmm. to how strong and powerful our offense was. So that by the end of that season, when conversations were going on about our strength of schedule and if we deserved that playoff spot, there's national people that could say, hey, I watched this team and I did see that they are strong enough that we don't need to worry about that strength of schedule. And sure, it's a conversation, but who knows without the midweek games what that conversation would have looked like, mm-hmm. So it's something that, again, while it may look different this year in terms of where we're going to go for the full season, these midweek games do bring a lot of eyeballs to Liberty football, and that can't hurt.
So show up, students.
Yeah, definitely show up. I just looked it up. There is exactly one college football game on next Tuesday night. There's exactly one football game on next Tuesday night, and that's going to be at Williams Stadium for the Liberty Flames against the FIU Pit Bulls. But no, definitely get out and support the team. And I think that's a good point you both made too, was that, the team's success last year, coupled by the 4-0 start this year, people will be more in tune to more likely to tune in to the game,
mm-hmm.
Say, oh, wait, let me see about this Liberty team. They went 13-1 and got beat by Oregon. Let me see how they're doing it. Oh, they're 4-0. Let me check them out, see how they're doing. So I think you're more likely to get. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we'll see them anymore, but we'll see.
Sure.
Wearing them two times already this year, but no, it's funny. I definitely think it'll, more of the casual fans will be more likely to tune in to a Liberty midweek game when there's nothing else on. I know I would. I mean, I'm watching college football any night that it's on.
Any
same
two
thing
teams,
with NFL too. It doesn't matter. I'll watch any of them. But it's the only game on next Tuesday night, and then Wednesday night, New Mexico State and Jack State is the only game on. So that'd be a nice Conference USA matchup there. So should be fun. Hopefully we get some wins during midweek football this month.
I'm excited to just have fun, watch college football, watch the team that I got my undergraduate degree from, as John and CT are in the same boat as me. And we're lucky to have this opportunity. I say it all the time. If you asked us 10 years ago, we would have been like, there's no way this has all happened. And enjoy it. Do not look at what has happened the last 5 days as a season's over, as season's curtains. No, it's not. You have a lot of people that have worked hard and are going to continue to work hard to put a stamp of success on the season. So before we close out, CT, predictions for next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, I do think that we take care of business. I think the offense continues to look stronger and stronger. I think they're ready to let all the leashes off, if you will. So I'm going to say 38-14.
Love it. Manson, the GOAT.
Yeah, it's a little early to put out a score prediction. I do think we'll win. I think we'll win comfortably. I think this defense will show up. I wouldn't be surprised if, 14 might be on the high end for what FIU scores. I think we'll be up in the 30s, so somewhere around 35 to 10, maybe even fewer points than that for FIU. But I think somewhere in that ballpark. This team will be rested. They'll be able to, I think they last year they played with a chip on their shoulder, especially as we got towards the last half of the season. Maybe with some of this, extracurricular that's going on the last few days, maybe they'll get that chip on their shoulder again and, go out to, prove a point out on the football field beginning Tuesday night against FIU. So I feel good. I think they'll play good. We don't need to hold anything back. We've talked before about maybe this offense has held some things back in the first few games. There's no need to do that anymore. You're in conference play. You got to go 1-0 each and every week. And so I think the playbook will be wide open and there'll be no limits, as I said earlier, on any, limits on touches because you've had such a long time off and you got 2 weeks off after this. So looking forward to the game. Should be a nice Liberty win. I'm certainly hopeful for.
Looking forward to a great atmosphere at Williams Stadium. If you are in the area and you're like, I don't know if I want to go to the game. Go to the game. You're going to get an opportunity to watch an incredible football team play against another FBS opponent where the world is going to be watching, where anyone that is a fan of college football, they're going to tune in and witness this. So we're excited to talk about all of college football, especially Liberty football. Next week, how are we going to do this? Next Thursday?
No, you must have checked out when we were talking about that earlier, but there will be no show next week.
No show next week.
No show next week.
Next week.
We'll be back in 2 weeks to recap the FIU game on a Tuesday night again. We'll be back at the same time on a Tuesday night to recap FIU, look ahead to Kennesaw State, which will be the following Wednesday. So we'll adjust our schedules later, but no show next week. We'll be back 2 weeks from tonight. Recap FIU, look ahead to Kennesaw.
No show next week. Thank you so much, CT. Incredible insight, phenomenal when it comes to eyeing up his picks. He's making people money. Trust me on that. John Manson, nobody better when it comes to Liberty Athletics, knowing what's going on and sharing that with all of us. And on behalf of our Sea of Red team, thank you so much for checking us out. Like and subscribe to whichever platform you are checking us out on. If you're on YouTube, just check that little button. Click it. We're trying to get to 1,000. I'm told that at 1,000, good things start to happen. I don't know. I'm too old to understand how YouTube works, but it is what it is. As always, stay hydrated, stay blessed, stay fly. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Go Flames.